Welcome to the show. We at Trucking Life welcome you all. Now, pull that rig over, hit the head, grab a drink and snack, settle in, and let's get this show on the road. And now, your host.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good this morning.
Nice.
Really excited about today's show. Excited about the Texas weather. It's warming up.
It is
Good
freaking
morning,
gorgeous.
Lori.
Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna pull my gum out. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So Sarah and I are live with you this morning for Sunday Brunch with Trucking Life. And it is a gorgeous day in Texas, currently 73 degrees here at 11 a.m. Crazy, crazy, beautiful
Yay.
morning. Blue skies, a little bit of wind, but nothing dramatic. Gorgeous day. So we are here. We're co-hosting last minute. We've got
Very last minute.
Holy shit. But we've got some sicky girls. So everybody, please say a prayer for some of our board members. They are not feeling real hot. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I'm not going to go into details, but just they need some prayers.
Send them all the good vibes.
All the good vibes. That's right. That's right. So today I'm going to run down what we're doing for everybody today. Good morning. We are going to do a little tribute here. I don't know if everybody saw. We'll come back to it just a minute that C.W. Mccall passed away. We're going to just give him a moment of silence for that. Just a moment. And then Sarah's going to go through and just give some information on taxes, need to know information. I know it's coming up here in 2 weeks, sister, the deadline?
Yes.
I don't even know what today is. Yeah, 2 weeks almost.
Almost
so
exactly,
Monday the 18th. Yeah, Monday the 18th is the deadline. So she's just going to give you guys some information. And then we'll go to commercial. We'll come back and we're going to bring in Pat and Ed to talk about a really hot topic in the industry right now here in trucking. Basically, Werner winning the opportunity to throw people in a truck right out of trucking school without a trainer. Just here you go, hit the road. So we're going to have some opinions and thoughts on that situation and go through the facts of the situation just to let everybody know what's happening. And then we've got some fun things that we're going to debut. And then also Pat and Heather have some really cool information that they want to share with you about what's coming up in their life. So with that, let's do a quick tribute. So C.W. Mccall, you guys, is the anthem Convoy. He is the singer-songwriter who put Convoy together, and copyright, we can't play it for you, but we do have a tribute for him that we'll go ahead and run real quick. Jed, is that a little video? Is that what that is? I think
30 seconds, I think.
All right, so let's go ahead and do that tribute to C.W. Mccall. Yeah, here in the trucking industry, anybody who's old school trucking, they know that song. Johnny knows it verbatim. He knows all the words. And Sarah, I can't see who that's from. I don't know if you can see those comments.
I can. It's Cindy Madole. She says, how are you guys this morning? I hope you're doing good. God bless you, and God be with you all.
Thank you, Cindy. So, yeah.
Jane says, good morning.
Good morning, Jane.
Says, beautiful tribute.
Who said that?
Doug Robbins.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Margaret says, hello, sunshine, live from Tampa Bay.
Live from Tampa Bay. That's the other thing, too. I'll tell everybody real quick. So, Margaret is co-founder of the Empowerment Summit Tampa Bay. And these girls here at Trucking Life, we are going to Tampa the first week in August. We cannot wait. We're so excited. We are going to sponsor at least one table, possibly two, depending on who all we have going. And we are going to go support Margaret and just co-mingle and network and have a blast.
It's going to be so great. I'm super excited to actually have the board together all in one place and supporting one of our streamers, Margaret DeBalot, in her adventures and all the things that she's got going on.
All the things. That girl's got her hands everywhere.
And it's going to be such an awesome learning opportunity. So awesome. I'm so excited.
And if there's anybody else in the industry who is, you know, building a business, whether it's in trucking or in any other, you know, facet of life, when it comes to building a business, you really need to understand how to network with people and really build those relationships. And so, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, I highly recommend people check out the Empowerment Summits page. It's called the Empowerment Summit Tampa Bay. You can also probably find a link to it on Margaret's personal page or that Truckin' Chick. But just as an FYI, I highly recommend it. Go check it out. First Saturday in August.
It's going to be amazing. It's not only do we get to meet Margaret DeBalot in person,
right, and
but we get to have our board of directors together, and it's going to be an opportunity to just network and get to know other people who are on the same journey as us, as empowering ourselves.
Right.
Forward. It's going to be such a great weekend. I'm super excited. Margaret has another comment. Y'all aren't telling the truth. That's not what the exemption's about. Please read the order, guys, before you put out the incorrect information. Please, please, please.
Oh.
So that's about the Werner. I'm assuming, Margaret, if I'm wrong, let me know. I'm assuming that's about the Werner stuff we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of information out there. So I'm glad she brought that up, because we're definitely going to highlight all of the information, because there are misunderstandings about what is in that exemption. For sure.
Yes. It's one thing I love about Margaret is she can always keep us on our toes about what we're doing, the stuff we're reading, and
right.
Yeah. And like bringing it.
Right? She's not afraid. That's why we love her.
No, let's go toe to toe. I'm ready.
That's right. All right. So tell us about taxes. What is it that you think the people need to know?
Well, actually, the people need to know quite a bit of information, to be honest. But as we go forward, tax date was changed from April 15th to the 18th this year. But as a tax preparer, I'd like you guys to keep in mind that, yes, the date was changed, but that's also Easter weekend. You're going to be busy with your friends and family. So the earlier you get your taxes prepared, the better. So I just wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks as you meet with your tax preparer, the stuff that you need to have prepared for them, and documents that you should be gathering. So the documents that you should be gathering before you're filing your taxes is everybody got a letter. It was called the letter 6475 that regarding your tax, your recovery rebate credit from last year. Last year in the springtime, everybody received $1,400. And so there's a letter that states that happened. You also want to make sure that you have your 1099 the 1099 miscellaneous, W-2, any other income. If you won $50,000 at the casino, make sure you have that information for us as tax preparers. You'll also need your social security card, excuse me, your banking account and routing numbers, so that way you can get your tax return automatically deposited into your account. You'll need 1099 INT, which is interest received from savings accounts or different investments that you may have. You'll also want to make sure that you have a valid ID or driver's license ready, as well as your social security card, to make sure that the tax preparer is verifying the right information. If you're a W 2 employee, you'll want to make sure that you have a correct W 2 from your employer and any other of the 1099 forms. If you're a student, you want to make sure that you have your 1098, which is for your tuition statement. There's also the 1095 form, which I know it seems like a lot of forms, guys, but it also, that form just says where you got your health insurance for the year. And because some people are able to get a deduction or a credit on their tax liability based on that form. Um, did you get the child advance tax credit last year where they paid everybody a certain dollar amount based on how many children you had at the end of the year? You want to make sure you have that information ready this year, as well as if you are a homeowner, you want to make sure you have your mortgage interest. So there's a lot of documents that you should have ready for your tax preparer. And um, there's a lot of tax preparers out there, and they're going to ask you a billion questions. But the more information you have for them as they get started, the less questions they have for you going forward. So on tax day, you need to make sure that your taxes are e-filed, sent in by mail by midnight on the 18th, or you make sure that you file an extension if you need some more time to gather those expenses and get those deductions and things together. As an owner operator in the trucking industry, I just really wanted to share that there is a lot more expenses that could reduce y'all's tax liability than you think there is. And so going forward this year, my recommendation is you gotta find a filing system that really truly works for you, or get in touch with a tax preparer and work with that person all year long regarding your taxes. So next year, when taxes come, you're not caught in a situation to where you have to write a check to the IRS for money that you don't have in your bank accounts or in your situation. And as much tax information as I would love to share with you guys, honestly, each person, each owner operator, each W 2 employee, there are so many variables that go into a tax situation. But what I do want to say is don't be afraid to reach out to your tax preparer and ask those questions. Is this lunch that I had with my sister a possibility of being a deduction? Because the whole entire time we talked about her trucking business.
Right.
That is a deduction for her, you know? And so there's many, many people that get caught off guard because they don't take the time and the opportunity to create a filing system or to make notes about what their tax situation is. It's really easy to fall into the trap of, I will remember. I will remember. 6 months from now, you're going to look at that receipt and you're going to say, I think this is what happens. And that's where you do find trouble. So it is just one of those things. I can't stress more than enough is just to keep track of those things. My recommendation, personally, from me being in business, is at the very, very least, every 3 months, go through those receipts and make sure that you have all of your deductions. Keep track of stuff that you paid for in cash
Right.
that possibly be a deduction for you. Also, as a truck driver that's a W-2 employee, make sure that you know what you put on your W-4 to have taken out for taxes, because you don't want to get caught in a situation where you didn't pay enough in. And also for W-2 employees, there's a certain amount that if you keep track of stuff that you need for your truck that your company is not buying, different expenses that you have that your company's not taking care of, that can be a deduction for you, and to which will also will reduce your tax liability.
Absolutely.
And finally, Lori, I really appreciate your comment. Filing an extension is extending the date to file. If you owe money, you pay. If you owe money, you still must pay 90% of your liability with the extension paper. So you still have to pay, but it also just gives you more time to figure out what is going on. A lot of my clients that I've had come to me this year is they're like, I'm not sure what I can or can't use as a deduction. And so we've had to go through this one client that I can think of off the top of my head. He's a young man. He just got married last year, and him and his wife, she just started her business this year, but last year he had his own business. And when we were talking expenses, he went through his bank accounts and got me all the information. And then later, I was talking to him and he was like, well, I spent $2,000, but it was through Venmo, so it doesn't count. That is not true. That's considered a cash transaction. So that young man, after a conversation with me, was able to get a little bit extra, in his expenses. But if you have a question with your expenses, make sure to ask your tax preparer. There is no wrong question in these situations. And most tax preparers, almost everybody I've ever met that is a tax preparer, is wanting to do the best that they can for you and reduce your tax liability. Yes, you still may have to pay if you're making money and you're in a certain tax bracket, and that's okay. There are ways that we can combat that by looking at that every 3 months to know. Make sure if you're a W-2 employee that your W-4 is filled out. I also had another client this year that they did not realize that they were not getting charged like any amount was taken out for federal taxes. They had nothing taken out. So because of that, when I'm telling them as a tax preparer they have to pay, they're upset
Right.
because they did not realize that they weren't taking out any kind of taxes from their stuff. So
Right.
one of the things, we've got 2 weeks left, y'all. Find your tax preparer, find someone, call me, whatever we can do to help you out, I would love to do.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to plug my sister's bookkeeping services too for truckers, because I'm going to tell you guys, I know what we do. We throw our receipts in our purse from expenses out on the road, and the wadded up messes that I bring to Sarah, sometimes are legible, sometimes they're not. So, she's whipping my butt into shape too. And
Should I tell on her, folks?
Yes,
This
tell
is
them,
how
because
we get her receipts.
that's exactly how
This
she
is how
gets
I get her receipts.
She gets them in a baggie. I'm like, you should be grateful you get that. But she's whipping my butt into
I'm
shape.
super grateful. I'm
It's
super
bad.
grateful that at least I get a baggie, because most of the time she threw them away before we started this.
But you know what? That's how we learn, guys. And we need to maximize the expenses. We need to make sure we're putting it all down. And I can guarantee you there are so many of us truckers out here on the road who are not maximizing our deductions and our expenses, being put on the taxes. I can guarantee you I have missed thousands of dollars, thousands. And so this is just our wake-up call, you guys, that Sarah is willing and able to talk to you individually and say, okay, what does your daily life look like? And let's put a plan together so that it's seamless for you to save your stuff, whether it's on your phone, the receipts in a manila envelope, monthly, whatever the situation. As well as, like she said, she was talking about all of the different statements and reports and accounts that you need to think about. I was just thinking about, sister, that there wasn't a lot, but I got my money in Stash and Robinhood and Acorns. I just throw money over there every now and again, and it's not building a lot, but it's there, and that's stuff I haven't even thought about.
Nope. We haven't talked about it yet. No, we have not.
So there's stuff, you guys. And yes, there is no excuse, but it's a lot of, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of times it is, we get so tunnel visioned in our day to day that we've got to hit the shipper, the receiver, that we've got to load, unload, we've got to chain down, we've got a certain amount of miles that we have to do every day. The last thing we're thinking about is, what the hell do I do? I mean, now let me say, fuel receipts, that's a different story. Fuel receipts, I've got them all. But I don't think about, oh, Johnny just picked up an extra, gallon of washer fluid. I don't think about Johnny just picked up anti-gel. You know what I mean? And it was just a spur of the moment, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think about those things until, I really started having to. And I'll tell you, this is the wake-up call. If you're not on the ball and minding your business, that's what it is, guys. We have to remember, all the facets of being successful business owners. And so I've had to learn a lot.
Right. And part of that is, a lot of times is in your day-to-day life, you're like, oh, that $5 is no big deal.
Right. But it adds up over time.
Grand picture of things, when you're doing your taxes, it adds up over time.
Absolutely.
And can help reduce your tax liability. It can also, help you really keep a handle on your business, to where you're like, well, we expensed this many things. Is that necessary? Is it not necessary?
Right.
Do we need to look at our spending and see, how we're spending our money? Do we need to pay in quarterly a little bit extra
to compensate?
Just to make sure to compensate. That will all come out in the wash when you do your taxes. Another client that I had paid $500 extra in every quarter last year, and she got every dime back this year.
Yeah.
But she didn't end up getting caught with having to pay in, because she wasn't sure. So she just paid in just to make sure. Because the year before, she ended up having to come up with money, and sometimes it's a big dollar amount, and not everybody has that money set aside and put away. I mean, we're talking $10,000 to $100,000 that the IRS wants now.
Right. One of the things that Sarah is going to do for me, guys, that I really want to encourage people to think about is, she's actually going a more in-depth bookkeeper status for me, because we have so much going on. We've got our hands in multiple pots and buckets and things that we do. And so Sarah is actually organizing my life in many ways, but including a monthly spending checkup. I'm going to give her access to all of my accounts, my investment accounts, my all the different ways I spend, all the different cash apps, all the things, so that she can give me a monthly report of where all my money is going. And what that does as a business owner, or even as just an individual, it helps you track your spending and make adjustments as necessary. You guys, I'm not going to lie. Sarah and I had this conversation the other day that I freaking paid for Audible for 3 years monthly. And I didn't use it. I bought like 2 books out of, the whole time. And it was just coming off one of my accounts that I didn't regularly monitor. And I'm just like, oh, and we get so distracted with day to day that and that's how people make money on subscriptions. They I think use that a little bit to their advantage, thinking people are going to forget that that's what they're paying. But anyway, so when she's doing these monthly reports, it'll help you get a handle on, do you still watch all the Netflix? Do you still read the Audible? Do you still need all these different subscriptions? That's one of the things. You shish it. That's one of the things that will come out of keeping track of those expenses. So anyway, well, let's take a quick commercial. Sarah's commercial will have her phone number and her contact information, you guys. So you can get a hold of Sarah if you have questions or if you need her assistance for tax preparation or bookkeeping. And yes, so let's run that commercial segment for Pat and Heather and for Sarah. And then when we come back, Pat and Ed are going to join me on screen. And so we're going to say goodbye to Sarah now. Love you, sister.
Bye, everybody. But hello, Josie. Hi, sister.
Our sister's on here.
Commenter, our other sister.
Right? We will have to do a live with Josie at some point. Just not a show necessarily.
We'll have to talk her into it.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk her into it.
All right, guys. So
all right, well,
sister,
you guys have a good rest of your show. And again, if you need any information or just have questions, feel free to reach out to me via email or phone number. Give me a call or a text message. I'm happy to help in any way that I can.
All right. Thank you. Love you. And yes, so let's run her commercial so you guys can see how to get a hold of her. And then we'll run Pat and Heather's commercial and bring Pat and Ed in to talk about some topics.
Tax season is here, and the time to get your tax return done is flying right by. If you want your tax return done correctly and at a reasonable price, call me, Sarah Darling, at 903-932-8249. I offer free estimates and lower fees. Reach out to me today. I would love to help you.
Hey, this is Pat.
And this is Heather.
For the misadventures of Pat and Heather, come check us out on our stream. We are unpredictable, unscripted, and un-PC. Oh yeah, that's Tinkerbell too. You might be able to see her too. So come check us out. Only on Trucking Life.
Hello.
Hello.
Hola.
I don't want to check out your nose here, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, there's something in your nose.
Right, you got Good morning,
Brook,
gentlemen.
Good morning. I had two quick little bits of tax preparation advice I wanted to add on along with everything else, if I could.
All right.
If you're having a hard time keeping up with your receipts, I really recommend. I don't have one in particular to plug, but they have a lot of those receipt scanning apps for your phone.
Oh, absolutely.
That will automatically scan your receipts and then automatically file them. You know what the expenses were for, and so on and so forth. So that way you don't have to have a little baggie like Brook has. And
QuickBooks actually, QuickBooks has a receipt scanner, and I know that Sarah uses QuickBooks for a lot of stuff, but that's absolutely so. That is definitely something people can do, is scan their receipts and then toss it so you don't have to worry about it.
Right, yeah, particularly in a truck, that's going to be really easy. Whether you do it every night or once a week or whatever, whichever works for you, as long as you do it.
Exactly.
And then the other bit of advice is they have services. I believe Truebill is the name of the service that will go through your bank account and see those subscriptions that you're paying for that you might not be using.
Truebill is
out of
actually what
curiosity.
taught my Audible one.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you have any Audible tokens that I can have? Because I
Yes,
would love
I
to
have about 13, so they're all yours.
There you go. Awesome.
All right,
Pat, how the heck
Patrick,
you doing
how are
today,
you
dude?
guys this morning?
We're good. We're here in Arkansas at JJ's.
Woot woot. Did you see if Johnny's anywhere near you?
I know he's not.
No.
He's over in Oklahoma, I think,
No, okay.
and we're in Arkansas. I mean, we may cross,
Yeah.
at some point, but
Yeah.
who
He's
knows?
headed south. That's all I know.
I mean, we'll probably cross paths, and I'll wave at him because I know he won't answer his phone, so I'll just wave at him.
I got to cross paths with Missy the other day, and she flashed me on the way down the road there.
Well, there you go.
She's got some nice high beams. I tell you what.
Oh yeah, on that Western Star, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a nice
That's
truck.
funny.
It's a really nice truck. I like her new truck.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Just
That
keep
poor
your prayers
girl
up
is-
for Missy, that poor girl.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
not
yeah.
doing good. She's sick.
No.
Poor girl.
Right.
So Ed, did you see Margaret's comment about the Werner topic?
And she said that, and I'm sitting there like I start like kind of like doubting myself while I'm sitting here. I'm like, do I really know? So I had to go to the Federal Register while
Okay.
y'all were sitting there talking about taxes, and I had to start reading the actual request for the exemption. I will be honest, I didn't make it all the way through.
Okay.
I did find one piece of information that I didn't get from the article that I'm glad that I found.
Okay.
But no, my 2 pages of notes still stands. So
All right. Well, let's get into it. So go ahead and tell us the topic and the title, just so
Right.
we know, and then we'll let Pat give his 2 cents, and then I'll let you finish it up with what you think too.
You've seen
Right.
some.
So the long and short of it is that Werner has filed for and received an exemption for commercial learner permits. Their requirements to have a fully, well, I would say an appropriately licensed CDL holder in the passenger seat, because it's not just Class A, Class B, or anything like that. It's also a requirement of whether or not they've got the right endorsements and so on and so forth. But for these purposes, yeah, just a regular standard Class A is what those passengers are going to need. But yeah, it's an exemption that would allow a person with just a commercial learner's permit to operate a commercial motor vehicle in interstate commerce over the road without a Class A CDL holder in the passenger seat.
I have a question real quick before you answer, or before you talk, Pat. So when a person completes the course, are they headed to test out and or pick up their CDL? You know what I mean? What if they're in the permit status and they've completed the course? Are they literally on their way to go to the DMV and test out, or what's the status?
Who?
That was for
Sorry,
Pat.
either one of you.
That's. Pat, do you want it? I can answer it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the whole point of, like, the one bit of this article that isn't talked about in the headline that a lot of people missed is that these commercial learners permit holders have already taken and passed their CDL skills test.
Okay.
So that's a real big distinction that we have to make sure that we very clearly make. These individuals
Right.
have
And I think
passed
that's what
their
Margaret was
CDL.
getting at.
Right. Yeah. These individuals have passed their CDL skills test. Now, when I was a CDL instructor, this was basically the most awkward part of the whole process. Was that, we had a 4-week program where we were in a terminal, just driving around town, teaching them how to shift, how to turn, how to back, and then they passed their CDL test. But most of these students were not from Wisconsin, where I did my training. So there was like a question of, okay, they passed their CDL skills test in Wisconsin, now what? And so, so they would have to go back to their state of domicile and apply for and receive, in most cases, a temporary CDL before they would be allowed to go out over the road and continue on with their over-the-road training. That was the way our program was set up. What Werner is trying to do here is they basically want to create a team operation where the trainer is basically sleeping in the back of the truck and the commercial learner's permit holder is unsupervised driving down the road in a team operation while they're en route back to their state of domicile to basically get their in this case would be a temporary CDL. Does that answer your question? I kind of rambled there.
No, that's perfect. Pat, what are your thoughts?
Well, and here's the problem with a lot of that too is just because the FMCSA gave Werner the
Exemption
the pass to do this, it's still each individual state has their own rules, and they can't do that in every state. So they're going to have to, let's say Nebraska allows it, but not Iowa. As soon as they cross into Iowa, that instructor is going to have to be in that seat.
I imagine there's going to be a Supreme Court case over this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because you can't. And that when I went to Werner back in 2000, okay, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but when I went there,
I was 9 years old.
Oh boy! Right.
When I went there in 2000, I had just gotten out of Roadmaster truck driving school in '98. Werner was my first real over-the-road trucking company. And I hadn't even been there a full month before they asked me to be an instructor. And again, I hadn't really driven out of Florida, hadn't dealt with mountains, hadn't dealt with any of that kind of stuff. And I know how I was and how nervous I was and inexperienced I was. So so if you've got an instructor in the back sleeping, and this driver comes up on something that they're not familiar with, let's say a construction zone or something like that, by then it's going to be too late for the instructor to say, hey, no, you have to be here or you have to be there before, let's say a family gets killed in a minivan because he did something, that he didn't know. It wasn't really his fault because he really didn't know. Just because these guys get these permits from truck driving schools, they still lack the common sense that comes with experience to drive a truck. Just because you have a license doesn't mean that you have the common sense that you actually need when it comes to being out here. And unfortunately, there's a lot of drivers out here that have been driving for years that still don't have the common sense that's needed to be out here. And I think you also have to have the temperament, because if you've got road rage issues and stuff like that, you're dangerous out here, to be honest with you, because you don't have
need to check out the joy of hauling.
Oh yeah.
learn how to be calm out on the road.
Be calm. Yeah, check out his Joy of Hauling. Trucking.
Episode 2 is coming out today. It's uploading right now as we speak.
Yeah. Happy little trucks.
Right? It's the first time it aired, I giggled the first 20 minutes because I was just like, where has this been? This needs to be played and plumbed into certain people who have massive road rage. Right.
Well, and I'll tell you, the whole thing with this exemption, and it kind of annoys me, just plays into the whole politics and money and all this, because I'm sorry, that's how the Werner Enterprises were. They received their status of being one of the first companies to do electronic logs. They were the first guinea pigs of it. I was one of the drivers that were doing it, and it was really odd because I mean, we had 3 lines: on duty, off duty, and driving. That's all we had.
Right.
And is he gone? No.
I
Hold
think
on.
he's there somewhere.
I don't
Oh,
know
there
if
you
I can
go.
still hear. The puppy hit the button on the
Oh.
screen.
Yeah.
And they got that status because of who was in office at the time. They big supporters. The same thing with this. Big supporters of the Biden administration, stuff like that during the campaign. That's how they were picked. And the problem with the FMCSA and the way that they do things, the majority of people that sit in the FMCSA have never been in a truck, never driven a truck, don't know how it even works. You had one administrator, it was a female a couple years ago, or a couple administrations ago, that had a CDL and tried to play herself off as a truck driver, but she wasn't a truck driver. And I think there's a big disconnect between FMCSA, Department of Transportation, and the actual truck drivers.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a disconnect in big government and the industry anyway. I mean, it's in several parts of the industry. I don't think it's just that one specific area.
Oh,
but
look how they treated the guys at the convoy in Washington, D.C.
Don't even get me started on that. Oh, don't even get me started on that. So let me ask you this. Ed, did you see Margaret's comment? Jed, can you put her last long comment up there? And Ed, I want to hear your point of view on what she said.
Right. So I want to make 2 points. One, I'm going to push back slightly on what Pat said about Warner and their political affiliations there. And the reason why is because you had made a similar comment to me in the phone conversation we had before this live started. I had to pull up their financial statements regarding their political contributions for the 2020 political cycle. They donated $2.7 million in 2020 alone. I think it's one of the biggest years they had ever contributed any money to any political activity, and not one of those contributions was to any liberal organization or candidate. 1.5 million specifically to a Republican political action committee. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and since 2012, they have only supported 3 Democrat candidates. The total amount of those contributions about $15,000, and that's out of roughly maybe $5 million that they've spent.
Well, yeah, that's a corporation itself. It's not C.L. Warner himself.
Right.
So just wanted to put that out there.
What are your thoughts about Margaret's comment?
Yeah. So Margaret is talking about that this is them. They have completed the training. So I think this is where we kind of I might agree to disagree with Margaret. Yeah. I believe that achieving a CDL license is a step on the road to becoming a solo over-the-road driver. I don't believe that passing a CDL skills test is a culmination. It is not the end of the process, as far as I'm concerned. It's part of the process, a very important step of the process, but it's not the end of the process. Now, I understand that from a legal standpoint, all you need is a Class A CDL in order to operate a commercial motor vehicle solo, assuming that a company or what have you would insure you. But I think what Warner is probably doing is that they're doing all of their training over the road, and whatever they're doing as far as what they call their training. I think their culmination is a CDL skills test. I don't know that it is. But I would argue that it shouldn't be, because I don't believe that the CDL skills test is an adequate evaluation of an individual's ability to operate a commercial motor vehicle in solo interstate operations.
Well, and I think that speaks to what Pat was saying. What are your thoughts about that, Pat? That if they don't have the real world experience, there's still going to be times where they're possibly put into a situation where there's a dangerous outcome because they don't have any experience of handling that situation with a trainer. They're just put into it, blindly. Is that what you're thinking?
And that's the thing too. When I was at Werner and I was a trainer, you had to, these new guys coming in straight out of truck driving school, And me and Ed talked about this, and it all depended on what school you came from, because there were many, many schools out there in 2000. And it would depend on how many hours you had to be out with a trainer before you could start driving at night. And then once you drove at night, you had to have so many hours before the trainer didn't have to be in the seat. And then you had to have so many hours after that before you could actually test out.
Right.
And unfortunately, and why a lot of the trainers, the training program at Warner was flawed. They made the trainer responsible for the driver after they got out or got pushed on 90 days. And if they got into an accident in that 90 days, they were coming after the trainer for what they did. And it's kind of like, and they came after me a couple times, and I told them, I said, I have no control over what these guys do when they get out there. I can't teach common sense. Common sense is something that you're going to have to learn while you're out there. They have to learn while out there, and you can't put what decisions somebody makes in that, because you don't have time to think when you're out there. You have to know it. It has to be embedded in you. I'm seeing that I got to do this. I can't just, this car is doing this or this truck's doing this. What should I do next? It should be instinctual, but that comes with time. That comes with experience. That comes with learning the common sense of truck driving, and regular common sense, like just any person out there, is different than truck driving common sense. And unfortunately, there's too many people out there that have a lack of both. And I was telling Ed, before a driver is left out there to be by themselves in a truck, I believe that they need to go through 2 full seasons. 2 full, winter, summer, spring, fall, all that. But they have to go through all that, because that's when you get the experience and then the common sense of knowing what to do in certain situations. Now, not every season's going to be the same, but it gives you a perspective of how different it is from one season to another, and from one winter to another winter. And just throwing these guys out there is just, I think it's irresponsible, and it's going to take just one major accident where a family gets killed, God forbid, for the FMCSA to go, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, or it's not our fault.
What are your thoughts,
big
Ed?
thing I want to one big thing I want to talk about here was, and I don't think we've mentioned this yet, was that in the statement that Werner gave out defending this whole thing, was that Werner stated that there is no material difference between a commercial learner's permit holder that has passed a CDL test, and any other professional truck driver out on the road.
I completely disagree.
Right. Now,
they just don't
from a
have
legal
the
standpoint,
experience.
Like I said, from a legal standpoint, there is no qualification that a regular, me, for example, has from from a CLP holder that has passed a CDL test. He hasn't gotten his license yet, but there's no. What I'm trying to say is there's no legal qualification that they need beyond that. But as far as, like I said, like you said, the training, the experience and everything. Now, I saw that other comment that Margaret made that, they have completed their training. But something that I would push back against is that Werner has, and Pat and I talked about this, Werner has a practice of, depending on the CDL school that you went to, they consider, all right, so the school that I went to, for example, Diesel Driving Academy, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, it's a 5-month long program. So if you can imagine a CDL school, it's 5 months long. They hire people out of that program. They consider them experienced drivers. They require no additional training. All right, nothing about hauling freight, nothing about different types of terrain. Nothing additional. They get 1 week crash course on how to like do paperwork and
And
Werner
their
policies and
specific
procedures.
company policies, right?
Yeah.
Right. They get that, and then they get thrown. They get a solo truck and so on and so forth. See, I went to rail transport for my first company. I received an entire additional month of training on top of that, and I credit rail, with this because this was back when their training was top notch. I truly believe that, and I learned more in that 1 month with my over the road trainer than I did in the previous 5 months at Diesel Driving Academy.
And your school was pretty in depth. So, I mean,
Right.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's a college accredited course.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That's an interesting comparison that's your perspective. That brings a lot of weight, in my opinion, to the argument.
Yeah, I mean, my school was Roadmaster, and it was pretty much one of the first big commercial. Actually, I think they were the
Roadmaster's
first
owned by Werner.
commercial trucking.
Yeah, and Roadmaster's owned by
Werner.
Werner. Right.
Yeah, well, no, they weren't owned by
Well,
Werner.
partnered, whatever you want to call it. They're
Yeah,
like
that didn't
this,
happen.
is what I would say.
That didn't happen till after I left Werner.
Oh, okay.
Till after I went through Roadmaster and all that. That was a couple years down the road. And then Werner puts them in there. They bring people in and say, "Hey, this is what we offer," whatever. But you're getting trained in like Roadmaster. You have to have 1 million miles verified before they'll let you be a trainer at Roadmaster. But being down in Florida, you're not going to experience the hills. You're not going to experience the winter driving and all that kind of
Mountain
stuff.
passes.
Yeah.
Right.
I had the same exact problem training in Baton Rouge. I went to Wisconsin and saw a hill for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, I got scared to death. My first hill was Mount Eagle, and I about crapped my pants.
Right?
I love that drive, though.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I hated it. For the life of me, I hated hills. And now it's they're nothing. And
Well, and I just want to say that I understand Margaret's point of view too. That I mean, I was it Margaret that just flashed that comment? I can't ever see who's posting the ones about that. There's no trainer that's going to sign up for 2 years worth of one trainer, and I understand that point of view too. And it's as professional over-the-road drivers who've been out here for a long time, and between the three of us, we have different extensions of how much time we've had on the road. But it's Ed, you're the youngest, I think, and how many years?
This will be my 10th year.
Yeah, I was just going to say
in 2012.
Yeah, so you're at the 10-year mark. I have 17 years on the road, 8 over the road, but 17 years as a professional driver. And then Patrick is in those double digits, way up there, way
24.
Dinosaur age.
I want to take a moment and humble brag here. I was a CDL instructor after 2 years at Rail Transport. I was the youngest and least experienced instructor that they had ever hired up to that point. And you know the difference between me and the guy that had more experience than Pat? The guy that had that much experience had better stories. Our track records were the exact same.
Well, here, I need to give an example about how dangerous this is. And I know that Werner is guilty of it, and a lot of these big companies are guilty of it. They're going to train somebody through their school now, okay, to get their CDL. But what's going to happen when you get this guy that's 6 months out of, truck driving school there from Swift or Werner or whoever, but then they start letting them train somebody else.
That happens all the time.
CR England.
I think Nice
so dangerous.
Yeah, CR England. You, what is it? You're a trainee mentor or whatever.
Right.
You've been out on the road. I think 2 months solo, and then they put another guy. Yeah, and then they put another brand new guy in the truck with you.
And I agree with whoever just said that on the bottom, that we have to find a balance. There has to be balance, but it's just my personal opinion. Obviously, there are different and varying opinions on this topic, but it's time. They have to have time out in the real world with someone who can help them navigate certain situations and help them identify anxiety situations so that they don't like react in a bad, way. And they've got some help doing that.
Yeah. I do want to interject the one bit of information that I found on the Federal Register that is not in that article. The CLP holders, they are solo, like they're not solos. What I'm trying to say, they are in the seat. There is no CDL holder in the passenger seat. They can operate solo. There's still a trainer in the bunk.
Right.
So
They're
the
just
trainer's
operating
still in
a
the
team.
truck. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
he's still in the truck. It's just that he's not required to be in the passenger seat.
Right.
Okay.
And they used to require us
Yeah.
to actually be in that passenger seat.
Right.
So, and that's good to know. That's good information because we don't want to be spreading misinformation. And I think that the one thing that the three of us really wanted to just get out there is that our only concern with this specific exemption is that more, experience needs to be happening versus less. And that's what we're seeing as a lot of these policies and procedures and exemptions are being pushed forward, like with the, California drivers that are young, being put in this situation. It's all in that same type of context that we're, as professional drivers out here, we see a dangerous situation potentially with these types of policies and procedures that are being put in place to try to maximize, truck drivers.
It's kind of one of those, it's kind of like that saying, don't fix what's not really broken. Yes, it can be improved on, but don't fix what's not broken. I mean, we all know it's not.
I would say it was never actually fixed to begin with.
And I know Mark feels the same way. Mark
the way
feels
it is
that it's
now is a lot safer than what they're trying to do it as. And it's kind of like, in our state, in Florida, when you get a permit, okay, that driver has to use that permit for so many months before they're allowed to get an actual license for a car. I'm not talking about CDL, but like a 15 or 16-year-old has to have that permit so long before they can go on to actually get their license. And maybe they ought to look into something like that. You have to have that permit for so long before you can go on to get your regular license.
Yeah. Well, definitely a hot topic. What is that saying? Who's that from? I can't read it all. Let's see. I qualified as a trainer after a year on the road. I taught the student how to pass the Missouri. What are your thoughts on that, Ed?
I became a trainer at 8 months. But it's about an individual, right? Because an argument could be made that I didn't have the experience necessary or anything like that. But at the end of the day, my drivers went on to become drivers of the year. I have a lot of drivers that are still award-winning drivers to this day. Brag.
Well, and
I don't like talking about myself in an unhumble fashion. I'm just trying to make a point, Pat. I'm so sorry.
No. He's just harassing you.
Dropping names.
Giving you shit.
But what I'm getting after is that, an argument could be made that, 6 months, what have you, might not be long enough. For some people it is. Some people catch on really quick and are just really capable and able to do the job. And I think it's okay for us to recognize those individuals and give them an opportunity to realize their potential. Advance, do what they have to do. But at the same time, I think it's really important if, whether it's the FMCSA, ATA, OOIDA, get all of these people together. We have to come up with what does standard truck driving training look like? And we have to start getting everybody on the same page, because I don't think it's appropriate for individuals, the caliber of driver that they are is completely dependent upon who they happen to get suckered into joining at the beginning of their career. Think about, getting your pilot's license. That's so standardized, it's so over-regulated by the FAA, but at the end of the day, you get solid pilots. Flying is, what I'm getting after is that flying is the safest mode of transportation that we have. And a big part of it is the training that these individuals receive. I've done some live chats with, people that are, that are getting ready to just take a flight, and the amount of stuff that they have to do just before they even hit the runway is insane.
Right.
And I say it's insane, but at the end of the day, honestly, if we're going to
You
start
want
putting
that.
the professional, what I'm
Right.
saying is that if we're going to start putting the professional back in professional driver, it's time for us to start holding ourselves to a more professional standard. I'm all for
I
it. Hold
agree
me to that
wholeheartedly.
higher standard.
And I personally am not one who is into a bunch of regulation and red tape. I'm personally not normally that way. But when it comes to
Right.
truck driving and being behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound vehicle, I have a different opinion. You have
I would argue we do it to ourselves. That's my
I would
whole
agree.
argument. We
I would agree.
do it to ourselves. We wouldn't have to if it weren't for the crap that we see on the road. And
Right.
because of the crap that we see on the road, it's time for us to say, okay, enough is enough. How many more kids have to die
Right.
before
Well,
before
and lives
we
ruined.
start
I mean,
taking ourselves
let's be
seriously?
honest. It's not just the victims of someone who's hit by a semi. The driver, his
Right.
life or her life is ruined after an accident like that. That
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so, and then there's that argument of who makes that decision of when someone's ready, and what are they actually trying to do? Are they motivated by money and how many drivers they're pushing out of the school at one time?
Right.
Are they motivated by safety and what's best for the industry? Are they, you know what I mean?
Right.
So their motivations and their narrative is going to come into play. And so, like I said, I apologize. I see the comments, but I don't see who it is. So whoever said that there's got to be balance, and that if we have opinions, we need to shut our pie hole and actually get involved with OIDA and ATA and FMCSA and start pushing what we think is appropriate for policies that are being made. And I agree. We can't sit here and bitch about what we think is wrong with the industry and not put our money where our mouth is and actually try to be involved.
OIDA is a good way because they're the voice. They're going to get the attention of Washington to where me or you are. They're
Right,
just not
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, they're the lobbying groups. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why we partner with whoever and get our voice heard. Reach out to your legislators, reach out to your lobbyists, do all
Well,
the shit.
professional or not, I'm still going to wear flip-flops, damn it.
Well, I just realized I'm sitting there, I'm talking about being a professional driver. I'm totally wearing a Monsters Inc. t-shirt because I have to represent Sully, my truck, right?
That's right.
My teal monster. I don't know how you guys probably can't see a whole lot there, but I actually have a little Sully sticker on this on the side of my window there.
That's awesome.
I want to get some purple stripes on them.
Well, you guys, this is definitely an interesting topic. I've loved this conversation. I do want to run a commercial that Trucking Life we just put together the other day, but go ahead. What are you going to say, Ed?
I actually wrote out an entire, I didn't know we were going to do the tribute for C.W. Mccall at the beginning. I wrote out an entire obituary for him.
I want to hear it. Let's hear it, and then we'll do our debut of our new video.
All right, excellent. C.W. Mccall, best known for the songs Convoy and Wolf Creek Pass, has passed away at age 93. McCall's real name was William Dale Fries Jr. The song Convoy was such a hit on the pop and country charts that a movie based on it starring Chris Christopherson was produced. After stepping away from music, McCall served as mayor of, I believe it's pronounced Ouray, Colorado from 1986 to 1992. McCall had been in hospice care for some time as a result of a battle with cancer. McCall is survived by his wife of 70 years, Rena. He has 3 children. Yep. He has 3 children, 4 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and a great-great-grandson. Talk about a life well lived. Rest in peace, Rubber Duck.
Right? He was 93. And
93.
You know what? That man has got a legacy and a life to be proud of. I'm not going to lie. That's a wonderful victory.
Damn straight.
Awesome.
No, rest easy, Rubber Duck.
Right. Thank you for that. So we put some ideas together, and Jed, with his magic, created this little Trucking Life video that we're going to debut real quick, and then we'll come right back.
This is our trucking life, showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there.
I move mine in the mornings. Some people move theirs into the night.
This is the Volvo and the step deck trailer that I use to pull freight around the United States. Right now, I currently have an oversized on.
I'm tapping out. With tornado warnings and thunderstorm warnings, your stuff will get here to there later.
I move mine all around the United States with a Kenworth in a dry van.
I do it in a pink Kenworth.
My name is Margaret. Some people call me that trucking chick. I move mine all 48 from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. because trucking starts early.
However you move yours, Trucking Life will be here to capture that movement with love, professionalism, and a passion for showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there. So
He did use my clip.
I was gonna say we didn't get Ed's into,
Aw.
yeah, but
the final cut. I was
Right.
on the cutting room floor. I see how it is.
okay, so you guys, that was the more serious, or
It was good though. I liked it.
trying to get our motto, that's
Yeah.
what Trucking Life, as we grow, we're going to continue to show the world the different facets of our lifestyle and how everything does get moved from here to there, from creation to consumer. So we will do that for sure. I want to let Pat talk about what's going on in their life coming up and what they have going on. And then when we get done talking to Pat, we have an April Fool's video that we're going to go ahead and air that we aired the other day.
Hi, everybody.
Look at Tink.
Well, come over
So what are
here.
you guys
Come
doing?
over here. This is involving you too. Come on.
Well, there you go. So, right, Pat and Heather and Tinky, what's next for you guys?
Well, as some of you who follow us may know, we will be leaving the company we're at right now. And we are going to start a new adventure starting a week from Monday. And we are going to try and document it as a little, I guess, series, as you say, of how to, or what it's like to move from one company to another company. And the process
And the pain in the
involved.
butt that it is.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, there's so
From
much
unpacking
involved.
trucks to packing to, packing up whatever you're taking, to unpacking and putting it into a new truck, to, parts of orientation. And then that way people can get an idea of exactly what's involved, that it's not just moving from one truck to another truck and here's the keys, here you go. There's a lot more information involved.
Yeah, we've had a lot of times when he's moved from one company to another. He's like, yeah, they're gonna give me this truck, and then we get to it, and we're like, no, you're not giving me this truck. I'm not getting in this truck. Because it's nasty, they haven't cleaned it, or they tell him he's getting a K review, but he's really getting a
international or a Freightliner, and just a little hint, I will be joining Mr. Johnny Rogers and Brooklyn Rogers in the Volvo 860 world.
Brandy new. They're
Excellent.
getting one just like ours. I think it's, I'd be surprised if it's not the same year. It might be the same year.
It's either 22 or 23.
Right, right.
It's going to have no miles on it. We don't know what color yet until Wednesday when they show up at the yard. But we'll have 4 different colors to choose from.
Wouldn't that be funny if you guys got a Smoky Mountain Blue too? Oh my gosh.
Well, whatever ones are sitting at Volvo, we haven't told people where we're going yet. We just told them we're going to another company. So we're making them tune in, keep them intrigued.
Right, that's okay.
There's Tink. Say hi, everybody. Say hi to the world in the
Trip.
All right, well,
Trip
let's
said
go
they've had
ahead and run our April Fool's commercial, guys. I want you to see what we played with for April Fool's.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Here we go.
This is our trucking life, showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there.
I move mine in the mornings. Some people move theirs into the night. I move mine in the internet cafe. Sometimes I move mine in your internet cafe.
This is the Volvo and the step deck trailer that I use to pull freight around the United States. Right now, I currently have an oversized on.
I do it in a pink Kenworth. I do it on a step deck.
I move mine all around the United States with a Kenworth.
My name is Margaret. Some people call me that trucking chick. I move mine all 48 from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. because trucking starts early.
However you move yours, Trucking Life will be here to capture that movement with love, professionalism, and a passion for showing the world how it all gets moved from here to there.
Happy late April Fools!
I hope we didn't pay Jed too much money for that because that's a shitty commercial.
It's stinky. What happened? Well, crap.
Excellent.
Well,
I think we lost Brook.
I don't know.
No, is it just me and you now? Are we unsupervised?
You know, I don't
They
know.
gave us the keys. I don't know. I don't have a trainer in my passenger seat. I don't know what to do.
Stop
Oh,
us. Let's go, Brandon. Oh, shit. Wait a minute. Oh, she was just there.
She's back.
Sorry. My phone, when we're doing a live and I've got it plugged in because I needed to have some power, it overheats sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
same thing. We got to update our phone.
right.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Sure love you both. And we are just grateful for the opportunity to just get together, have these topics,
Yeah.
have these conversations.
Oh, yeah. And, check out Sarah Darling. I mean, we're not only friends, but we are clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we got to pay her something first. I think.
Right. All right, guys. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. Anything else before we sign off?
Yeah. Great job, Jim, on the editing for the April Fools.
Yep. Great job. The Joy of Hauling episode 2 is coming out today. It's uploading in the background as I speak. So if you haven't yet, check out youtube.com/BigRigEd. The Joy of Hauling episode 2. This episode actually turned out the way I wanted the first one to turn out. So if you didn't like the first episode, try out the second one. See if you like it a little bit better. My mic actually worked the whole time this time.
Wow.
Mostly. Yep. And I am the whole thing is me heading northbound on I-75 through Kentucky. It's a nice, beautiful drive, and I think it's good stuff. It's not the most compelling, landscape of all time, but I think it makes for a good video.
I got so many positive remarks about your series, so they're way excited. And everybody wants you to wear a Bob Ross wig, so we may have to.
I gotta look into purchasing one before I go home. I'm going home mid this month. So,
they got them in all the costume shops. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I gotta see about getting one ordered.
But I wanted to say, everybody, check out Live and Love and Trucking because Ms. Brook Lynn Rogers is getting back on that truck. Yay!
Oh snap!
Yes,
I can't
I
clap. I'm
am.
holding my phone.
The same day that Pat and Heather moved to their new company, Johnny and I will be hitting the road together as a team again. Woohoo!
Yeah, so look forward to that. Yeah. See all the antics.
Yeah, Margaret right there, $9.99 on Amazon. There we go.
Right?
Heck, well.
All right, guys. Well, love you long time.
And the roads are nice and no more of that white stuff.
That's right.
We hope your next salad is just like the handprint on Chris Rock's face.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, hugs, not drugs.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
You're watching TruckingLife.live. Thank you for being with us today. Please like, follow, and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any more great content. We'll see you out on the road.